Hurricane Authority.
And tonight we are tracking Hurricane Dolly, of course, down, but most certainly not out. After making landfall earlier today at 1:30 Central Time as a Category 2 hurricane, it is now down to a Category 1, but still punishing South Texas with heavy rain and vicious winds. Storm tracker Jim Cantore live in South Padre Island, Texas tonight. And Jim, for those that stayed behind, which you had said earlier there are many, how are they faring tonight?
Yeah, probably about 65% of all the vacationers here. You know, Alex, I think they're doing pretty good. I mean, if other resort hotels did what the general manager did here, he set the tables up with those little light sticks, and they had some salad and a little pasta dinner tonight. And I think that made everybody feel a lot better. Now, granted, there's no air conditioning. It wasn't the perfect situation that by any means, but after a long, windy day where power has been out for probably the last 8 hours or so now, that certainly made everybody feel pretty doggone good. And yeah, it's going to be a dark night tonight, but some folks obviously are going to be able to get off the island should they choose during the day tomorrow. So that's what we're certainly hoping. Here's some of the video out of Brownsville. This is what caused all these power outages here. Heavy rain there. By the way, they had enough rain today in Brownsville to set their all-time wettest July on record. It has been a very wet July in South Texas, extreme South Texas, and this is only adding insult to injury there. Now, here in South Padre, we had extensive damage to some of the buildings here, the convention center to be one, the hotel that we're staying at. Julie Martin's going to come in a little bit later on and tell us about this, the 22 people that actually had to be rescued from the condominiums up on the top floor, where they said their building was swaying at one time, and obviously they were very, very scared. Again, a lot of people here were thinking they were going to deal with a tropical storm, not a Category 2 hurricane. And that's obviously a huge change, exponential change from what you actually planned on dealing with there. All right, tonight, one of the disturbing things that I heard Dr. Lyons say in his tropical update was that the storm may look even better organized on shore, which means it's tightened up. The bands are still very, very intact. These are usually very hard to dislodge. Even though the storm is weakening from a wind field standpoint, it still contains a very, very heavy amount of rain and water. So flooding is going to be imminent regardless of where this goes. If you're either sitting under the band, you're going to deal with a flash flooding, or if you're in areas that'll just continue to see water pile up into your watershed, you will deal with flooding over the next several days as all this funnels downstream. So something to certainly keep an eye on here. Radar showing pretty extensive coverage of the rain. Even here tonight, you can see some of the rain coming in behind me. Winds also still up there. Brownsville sustained at 32 miles an hour, and also Wetlaco at 44 miles an hour, which is a pretty strong sustained wind. Obviously, gusts are even higher than that. So, guys, we still have a bona fide tropical storm corridor around this storm, which amazingly, even after landfall at some 1:30 this afternoon on the Barrier Island, is still being called a hurricane. A testament, guys, to something that was developing over the last 24 hours and is taking a long time to wind down. Back to you, Alex.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And a little bit later, let's talk about the causeway opening tonight. I'm a little surprised by that. Are you?
I am, because, we talked to Dan Kwan at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock. He said, look, we've got to get the debris off the roads before we can even think about the causeway. But it's not his decision here to open the causeway. It's the Texas DOT. Yeah. So the big question is, can they get the power crews across?
Right.
That's going to be huge.
And that's probably one of the big reasons why they opened it. All right, thank you very much. Jim Cantore live in South Padre Island, Texas, delineating the day and the night as well. Let's go over now to Carl and, of course, our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, to talk about the impacts that we're going to see and we are seeing. Yeah,
it's certainly not over yet. We've seen a tremendous amount of rain. Our hurricane expert, Dr. Steve Lyons, here to talk about that rain that's been coming down. The movement here is now at about 10 miles an hour. If you go for a brisk run in the morning, you might be doing 10 miles an hour. That's very slow, and that's why we're seeing incredible amounts of rain.
That's right, exactly. And it's probably going to keep that same speed over the next 12 to 18 hours. It's going to be problematic. Let's look at the radar. You can see the center of circulation spinning well defined with still some cores of heavy rain here. The problematic area is the area that's already gotten rain because it lowers the threshold for flooding. And that's basically on the south side and over in this area where they've already gotten a lot of rain, including in the Mexico coastline here and inland. This area is already had a lot of rain, upwards of 10 inches, and it's still getting rain. The good news is we don't see any real red areas in there that are the real high rain rates, but this area is going to persist for another 6 hours or so, and it's going to be moving to the west-northwest, Carl. And so it's still not over yet, and some areas could see tonight some pop-up, flare-up of some big, heavy rain event and cause them flooding along the way.
And it's amazing when you consider this is an area that was in a drought for many months. They really needed the rain. They just didn't need this much, of course.
That's right. And they needed it even more to the north, and they haven't gotten it.
That's right. It's been a little farther south. So let's talk about the impact here for the next 24 hours.
Okay, so we've got impacts on the form of flood potential fairly high still along the Texas-Mexico border, and it'll be moving west with the circulation. This area up in here is more of a street flooding type of possibility, and it'll be shifting to the southwest with time. But we still have one other threat, and that, of course,